What up, people? Welcome to Bleav in Rams, presented by FanDuel. Erin Coscarelli back with you alongside my guy, USA Today's Tyler Dragon, here to break down Thursday Night Football. It is a primetime matchup against a division rival. We'll get into all of that. But first, coming at ya from Melbourne, Australia. Still here. I know people think I'm moving here, which could be a possibility. It is pretty amazing. It is pretty epic. We'll get into all of that momentarily. But Ty, how you doing?
I'm doing good. You've been in Australia so long. I'm expecting like some authentic cuisine back, or are they
Mm.
known for coffee, tea? You've been there for so long. I'm expecting something.
This might be my fourth cup. They are obsessed with coffee. They eat
Okay.
kangaroo down here. I've started kind of even asking questions with the way they inflect their. It's like I'm pretty much Australian at this point.
Have you seen a kangaroo?
I pet one. I got hit on by a
Oh,
koala. Um,
wow.
yeah, I have done everything. I've checked out their wine country. Melbourne has it all. It's kind of like a New York,
Okay.
compared to Sydney being more like a Los Angeles because of the weather. And the
Hmm.
people are inviting, welcoming. You don't feel intimidated by being here in the city. And of course, obviously, I was here for the AFL Grand Final, which is their Super Bowl.
Hmm.
Friday, I'm going to the NBA game. It's an exhibition game. Pelicans are playing. Yeah,
Nice.
I mean, listen, I'm just here to recruit people. Just come on down. Come on to the land down under. But in the meantime, we do have a football matchup in Los Angeles, Inglewood.
Hmm.
Rams got back into the win column last week, taking on the Colts, 27-20 win. I didn't get to catch up with you after the game because you were on site delivering a fantastic piece for USA Today. What was your response to the Rams with that final finish? I mean, I think that they're trying to get us all to take some type of calming. I think they want us to be true Los Angelinos and pull out our yoga mats, get into the meditation room, and do some woosahs because every time a team this team finishes, it's like we don't know how this is going to end. And last week, or at least Sunday, didn't feel like an imposing win. Caught up with Ryan Anderson of LAFB,
Hmm.
and there were some issues that he wanted to address. I wanted to get your take first.
Yeah, it was a back and forth game, and you have to give the Colts a lot of credit. They went into the game undefeated, so it's not like this
Yeah.
is a bad football team that they played. The Rams, I thought their offensive line kind of struggled a little bit to start. I thought it wasn't the best. Kyron Williams game had that botched handoff as well. But overall, you can't say enough about Puka Nacua. I remember you texted me last week asking if he's the best receiver in the NFL, and I was I wouldn't go that far. You still got Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, AJ Brown, yada yada yada. But the
Hmm.
how he is performing and how he performed on Sunday, the Colts just simply could not cover him. He was just always open. You can call him 7-Eleven now because he's always open 24 hours a
I
day.
love
He is
that.
always open. And
Yeah.
Stafford is delivering him the football with
Yeah.
ease. And that was the difference maker in the whole game. Yes, Devontae
Mm.
Adams got into the end zone as well. Then Tutu Atwell.
I
We
know.
talked about him before. He was kind of MIA during the early portion of the season, hasn't really been targeted. We were looking for that number 3 option for the Rams, especially at wide receiver. And he had the game winning touchdown essentially for the Rams. So he had a good game. I thought the defense, they were opportunistic. Obviously, Cam Curl, those 2 interceptions.
Big
Those
time.
were huge.
Yeah.
Game-winning interception at the end, and the interception at the fourth play from scrimmage from the Colts. So that was outstanding. They had to tighten up their run defense. So Jonathan Taylor, if it wasn't for a holding call by A.D. Mitchell,
Hmm.
we could be talking about a different story. And then A.D. Mitchell had the the premature celebration too as well. So there were a lot of factors that went in the Rams' favor. The Colts had a lot of self-inflicted mistakes that certainly hurt them, as well as penalties. But ultimately the Rams got a much needed win, especially after losing the week prior to the Philadelphia Eagles. So all in all, it wasn't a perfect game, but it's good for an NFL team to know that they did not play perfect, know that they can go in on Monday and look at film when on a backdrop of a win. It's always better to, analyze what you did wrong and, self-critique after a win than a loss. And so that's a good thing for the Rams.
Yeah, I think we're starting to see how this team's identity is beginning to emerge. Right now, we're heading into week 5 with a big game at home, another game at home. And one of my biggest issues with what we're seeing while they've now had an opportunity to bounce back is the theme of the season feels like they're just inconsistent when it comes to stringing together 4 quarters of good football. Whether the Titans game starts slow and then they finish strong. Week 3 with the Eagles, they started fast, and then they just couldn't figure it out in Philly, down second half stretch. I mean, it just seems as though this team handles adversity well, but they play up or down to the respective team that's on the other side. Yes, the Colts are great. They came in undefeated. You were not sold on Daniel Jones. And it just seems like the identity, while we're starting to see it emerge, they had a great performance run defense wise against Saquon, which seemed like that was the most important part. They couldn't figure out answers for AJ Brown and that passing defense. And then the next week, Cam Crow, like you said, gets the 2 picks. What is the identity of this team as they're, what now 3-1? They're about to face another 3-1 team in the Niners at home. And I think, of course, Devontae came into last week's game dealing with that hamstring injury. So he was questionable. And then the offensive line is Steve Avila coming back. Yes, the bright spot, and we'll get into Puka in a moment. But, according to FanDuel Sportsbook, the Rams are favored 5.5 at home against the Niners. Is that a fair number to assess? Is that a good play? You think that that's something that the Rams will cover? I mean, this team, regardless of whatever injuries the Niners may be dealing with, play the team very, very hard.
I feel like FanDuel is correct. When I look at this 49ers team, they're the walking wounded. Brock Purdy, there's a question if he's going to play. Obviously, Nick Bosa is out for the season. Brandon Ayuk is not coming back anytime soon. The 49ers have been decimated by injuries for a second straight season. They don't know. They have questions at quarterback, who's going to start. They really can't rush the passer. It's one of the main reasons why they lost to the Jaguars last week. So, yeah, I feel like FanDuel is correct. I mean, I would probably even give the Rams as a 7-point favorite, in my opinion.
Wow.
Over, I know the 49ers have had their number in recent years. That's kind of changed lately. However, the 49ers just seems like 2 years in a row they've been just depleted by injuries.
I'm liking what we're seeing. I know you mentioned Kyron Williams had some moments there, but the balance in the backfield with Blake Corum emerging. How are you feeling about how the run game in terms of momentum moving forward is shaping out? Because you're starting to see a Blake Corum, like show up when he needs to in a way.
Yeah, there was some positive moments from Blake Corum, and I like what I see from him. Kyron Williams is still the better back. However, the number one rule for running backs, take care of the football. I don't care if you don't get a yard, you have negative yards play, you take care of the football. Kyron Williams had a fumble. Maybe it could be charged as Stafford botched exchange, but I think that it was more on Kyron Williams, in my opinion. So you don't want to see that. But overall, the run game had positive moments, certainly in that game. Blake Corum had a few really good runs, and so as well as Kyron Williams. And I do like that Sean McVay is kind of mixing it up, trying to have a more balanced attack instead of being pass heavy, because he's tempted to be pass heavy when you have Puka Nacua balling out, and then you have a Devontae Adams who just knows how to get open, especially in the red zone, leading the team in touchdown receptions.
I mean, I guess we should just get into it because when you're covering the Rams like we do, trying to bring to you every stat and storyline, we would be remiss if we didn't mention balling out is an understatement for Puka Nacua. I brought it up last week, and you know what? Both you and our producer, I'm not going to say names here, kind of shut me
Throwing us
down.
under the bus.
Kind of shut me down when I started talking about maybe Puka being the best wide receiver in the league at the moment. I'm waiting. Just go ahead. Give me all the accolades, please. I called it earlier, and sounds like I know what I'm talking about, people. Ladies and gentlemen, Puka Nacua continues to just see, it's like, and even Sean McVay, of course, was just talking about Puka, about why he's so special after the catch. And on Monday with the media, I wasn't there obviously, but I was reading the transcripts, and he just seems to feel more confident each and every week. He is coming into the game, he is aggressive, he is professional. And and it was funny because he said to the media when they asked him, like, what is it about him? He's like, well, you should try to ask the guys who cover him. Why is it so hard to cover him, to take him down? What is it about Puka in your mind? Before I get to the important question of him being maybe currently the best wide receiver in the league, I mean, because I know, look, I think at the end of the day, too, we have to be careful as media not to over speculate. We are week 4. It's so funny, or well, we're heading into week 5. It's so funny when we go like, is he the best? Is this the best team in the NFL? It's like, calm down, people. Let's just pump the brakes. It's still early, but the numbers certainly, and of course the performance, just seems to spell out that Puka is different, if you will. What is it in your opinion, when you're seeing him play, that to you think makes you feel like Puka is just a different type of player?
Well, he has strong hands at the catch point. He just snatches the ball out of the air, and he rarely drops passes. He's a physical receiver. He's tough to bring down, and that also helps him get open as well against press coverage. He runs good routes, and Matthew Stafford has a really good rapport with him, maybe the best in the NFL amongst quarterback and receiver. So when you add those aspects, not to mention, there are a lot of times where he does not receive the opposing team's best cornerback, because that's sometimes he's being covered by Devontae Adams, the opposing team's best quarterback. You look at what Stingley did, and so on, and Quinyon Mitchell as well. So all those factors play a role, but Puka Nacua, he's dominating his matchup each and every Sunday, Thursday, upcoming, and it's mainly attributed to just his physicality on the outside, his strong hands, his rapport with Stafford, and his ability just to make plays and be a playmaker. And it's evident he is certainly in discussion as the best receiver in the NFL currently right now. And also it's a product of his environment as well. Before, when you asked this question, I will admit, I said Justin Jefferson, I said Jamar Chase, but you look at their environment. Justin Jefferson is not playing with his starting quarterback and JJ McCarthy. And then he also has a Carson Wentz who's trying to build a rapport with him. Now, neither of them are on the level of Stafford. So he doesn't have the optimal, quarterback play. And then you look at Cincinnati. I don't even need to go on what the mess is going on over there. They're without Joe Burrow, and they just simply can't get Chase the ball. And so he's dealing with that. So Puka Nacua has the benefit of one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, top 10 in passing, and you have another star, maybe even Hall of Famer on the outside in Devonta Adams,
Hmm.
who's probably at the tail end of his prime, but still a really good playmaker in his own right, knows how to get open. So Nacua a lot of time is being covered by a number two
Hmm.
cornerback, maybe even number three, and he's just dominating that matchup. And what he's doing on the field right now, leading the NFL in receptions, targets, receiving yards, you have to give him the ultimate amount of respect. And he's in the running. I know it's just week 5, but for offensive player of the year already right now.
Yeah. Yeah. That is a fair thing to say, because his 42 catches for 503 yards, best in the NFL. So just
Mm-hmm.
stat perspective wise, he deserves that title at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And if he kept this pace, okay, over the course of 17 games, 179 catches for 2,138 yards. The NFL record is 149 catches, 1964. Obviously, he's not going to keep that pace. I mean, that seems unlikely. Um, but through 4 games, that is tied for most in NFL history.
Mm-hmm.
So it's absolutely a great point that you just made. It's his environment, it's his quarterback, it's his coach. And that's the thing that's interesting about the Rams this season, because if they just make some subtle tweaks, right, with their offensive line, they got to kind of figure some of that stuff out and then hopefully build the momentum with their run game. I mean, the offense, which was the big storyline heading into the season during training camp,
Mm-hmm.
was kind of overshadowed by what the defense was doing, at least the first, 2 weeks. The defense sort of keeping them in the game. This team is dangerous and deserves the title of being certainly in the top 3 in the NFC. And if that game was wiped away against the Eagles, this 3-1 team would be undefeated heading into a big divisional matchup, and would be potentially undefeated heading into week 6. And it doesn't get any easier for this team. They've got Derrick Henry on deck
Mm-hmm.
after the Niners. But it is
That might be
mm,
easy, actually. If I keep up.
well, we've seen just throughout the season, we thought the Titans would be an easy out, and that was also a nail biter at the end, right? So it's like
Hmm.
there's no real easy out, because
Yeah,
the
I get it.
Rams, um, you know, one of the big things that people may be forgetting is like that they didn't have Stafford at all throughout training camp to build any
Hmm.
rhythm. And I know Devontae is a veteran, but I think those reps, as we had discussed and you mentioned it, are so important during training camp. And Stafford was not available, right? He is still dealing with a back injury that every hit he takes, we do a collective gasp and wondering, like, is this potentially the end? So guys,
Yeah.
like, the Rams are not out of the woods, but this is certainly a nice time to be seeing all sort of cylinders firing when it comes to their offensive firepower. So I'm going to ask you the question that I asked. um, am I right in my assessment that Puka Nacua is the best wide receiver in the NFL right now?
You're just laying it on thick now, Aaron. But
I am.
yes,
Just
yes,
pat
you
the
are
back.
right. Right now, he is
Okay,
playing the
fair.
best. I said he's the leading candidate for Offensive Player of the Year. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
that's the highest praise you can get. I can't go MVP, unfortunately, because that's a quarterback driven award. They're going to give it to a quarterback no matter what Puka Nacua does. Just like I thought Puka Nacua should have won Offensive Rookie of the Year, but
Sure.
gave it to a quarterback.
That's right.
So,
That's right.
yeah, but to answer your question, yes, he certainly is playing the right receiver better than anybody else in the NFL currently right now.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of that too. Let's give the shout out, because even though we're not seeing it necessarily on the stat sheet, Devonte Adams is getting double coverage and taking some guys away. Like you said, maybe the number 2 is being put on Puka, and that's giving him so much more opportunity, because you have to respect the threat that Devonte brings to that offense. So, it's just it's while it may not have been a convincing win against the Colts, I'm pretty sure Sean McVay is sleeping well at night, And like you mentioned, this matchup against the Niners. But because I like to talk about stats and numbers and storylines, we do need to pick up. I want to read some numbers for you on FanDuel about Puka, potentially, what we might see from him week 5. Okay, let's do
Okay.
this. On FanDuel Sportsbook, will he have at least 95.5 receiving yards Thursday Night Football?
Yes. That, that
Uh,
that's a tough bet, but yes.
yeah, okay. I think it's I think you have to put 95.5 with what we've seen.
Hmm.
I think I said 509 receiving yards. Let me check. 503 receiving yards so far this season. So
Hmm.
averaging that, I feel like 95.5 is a fair number
Yeah, it
for
is.
Puka right now. Will he have at least 7.5 receptions?
Yes.
I mean, look, he's had what, 42 through 4 games, so that averages a fair average.
Yeah. That was at least 10
Uh,
a game.
will he have this is a combined total 102.5 rushing and receiving yards?
I'll say no.
Interesting.
I don't think he'll get rushing yards, but I do think he'll get right around 95 to 100 receiving yards.
Fair. Uh, will he have a reception of at least 26.5 yards?
20.
I'm gonna go no. That seems egregious, but maybe.
No, no,
Okay, no. Will he score a touchdown?
no. And I
Will
only say
he?
that quickly because he only has one this season. It seems like they go to Devontae Adams or someone else in the red zone because defenses are keying in on Puka.
Well, and their red zone issues, are
Yes, that
still a
too.
factor, right? So,
Hmm.
so then that omits my will he score the first touchdown because you're saying you don't think he's going to hit the end zone. So, all of those cool stats and numbers are on FanDuel. I always kind of like, deep diving and making that part of the conversation since he is literally the biggest storyline in terms of numbers right now, and he's a game changer, which I love to see because I think what we're seeing from the Rams, while we haven't seen a full 4 quarters of perfect play,
Hmm.
we Nate Landman again, Jared Verse again. In your opinion, as we kind of close out the show, what would you like to see? Um, for me, the answer is I'd like to see just consistent ball all 4 quarters. Just because the Niners are banged up does not necessarily mean that this team is an easy out. For you,
Hmm.
what are you going to be looking at when you write your your recap on USA Today? What's gonna be kind of the prominent storyline in terms of like what you still feel like you need to see out of this team?
I want to see the defense kind of impose their will. You mentioned Jared Verse. I mean, he had a good game against the Colts, but I want to see this front seven kind of get after the 49ers. The offensive line in San Francisco hasn't been that great. It seems like Trent Williams has taken a step back. He's still one of the better left tackles, but it's not the Trent Williams of old. And the 49ers offense is banged up. So this is the opportunity for the Rams to defense to really impose their will and have a dominant type game against the 49ers team that's missing a lot of playmakers outside of a Christian McCaffrey, really. So I want to see the defense play well. And then I also want to see the Rams offense play consistently through 4 quarters. It seems like that's a lot to ask now, but but if they can are able to do that, this game really should not be close. The Rams are the better team when you factor in all the litany of injuries the 49ers are experiencing right now. So I want to see consistency in offense and this defense really getting after whomever is going to start at quarterback for the 49ers.
Yeah, when I was watching the game and I was, on Australia time, so it's a different time zone. Uh And some of the coverage was sort of breaking in and out a little bit. I'm like, come on, guys, this cannot be an L. They've got to get back into the win column. I'm like, what is happening here? On 4 cups of coffee, which, by the way, people in Australia, they love their coffee. So if I come off extra, like, I'm already over caffeinated 90% of the time in America. So if I'm coming off extra caffeinated, but I just couldn't believe that the Rams could have given that game away.
Yeah.
When I had seen the scoreboard at the time, the Rams were down. So it's nice. While it's not a convincing win against the Colts, it doesn't matter. A win is a win. They're back in the win column.
Hmm.
They're 3-1 as they look to get another win at home against the Niners. Maybe they're going to face the Eagles again. I mean, look, I think that's the thing too. Kyle Shanahan has had Sean McVay's number, not in recent, certainly like most recent, but Nick Sirianni certainly has had Sean McVay's number. So I think that's just going to be an interesting storyline to watch. What
Yeah.
are the Rams going to do in terms of getting back into the win column, stringing together wins and stringing together consistent quarters of good football. So yeah, Thursday night. Let's wrap this show up. Bleav in Rams presented by FanDuel. Tyler Dragon, as always, bringing the heat. Thank you very much for your patience, because I know sometimes my internet here has not been great,
It's all good. Safe
but I
travels
appreciate
back
it.
to the United States. That's what, a 17-hour flight? How long is it?
No, it's less than that. It's a 17-hour time
Okay.
difference,
Okay.
which actually is not so bad. I think Americans think coming down to Australia is a scarier plight, but you
Hmm.
get used to the time travel. As soon as you land, you just kind of have to stay up, take that late flight, guys.
Hmm.
And then yeah, it seems more of a lofty lift than it really is, because you have that 17-hour ahead time
Okay.
zone, but it's not so bad. And yeah, we'll try to do a recap of the game once the Niners and the Rams finish. And I don't even know what time that means I'll have to be waking up at, but I will figure it out. Um, but for Tyler Dragon and Erin Coscarelli, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Let's see if the Rams can pull it off and get another back-to-back win in Inglewood. All right.